It's October 29th, 2020, which means it is day 29 and as well as 2 days until Halloween. And I am the one and only MSJ, Max for short, and welcome to my YouTube channel. And today I will be covering the 4th and 5th season of Tales from the Crypt. The reason why I chose to double up for days 28 and 29 is because the way I was going to do these 2 days is I was going to record them and make 2 separate videos all in one day. But after watching all the episodes, I noticed that there was a kind of common theme. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just kind of do one big video for today. And because the theme is like someone being conned or a con man, something like that, or kind of like a job that needs to be done. So it's something along the lines of that. So that was kind of I'm like, you know what? I'll just do one episode for the 31 days that covers all of this instead of like doing 2 episodes that seem very similar. So. But before I go any further, I need you to click subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified for any future videos I will be creating right here on this channel, and as well as leave a like and share because that helps me get my videos out there to a much broader audience, and as well as leave a comment down below because I want to hear what your nostalgic memory of Tales from the Crypt is and what's your favorite episode, which is your least favorite episode, which one just made you utterly disgusted, because I'm going to kind of get into that a little bit and when I discuss the season 5 episode. So, I also need you to do the same for a bunch of others who are doing the 31 days of Fright or Halloween or horror or half October. Go over to like the 13th Wolfman, Tony Has 9 Fingers, Nightmare Maven, Indie Film Cafe, Random Horror, Mood 616, Double Shot J. There's countless others doing this. Please go over to all their channels and give them the support that we all like to have, and because this is fun to us, and like having the interaction with you guys, especially in the comments, because we want to hear what you have to say and really talk about horror movies. So, and this is my favorite time of the year to watch nothing but horror movies. So please go do all that. Now, if you don't know what I do, is that I don't cover the entire season. I watch the first and last episodes of each season. So I'm only covering 4 episodes, episodes 1 and episode 14 from season 4. Now, season 1 episode is called None But the Lonely Heart. It's about this con man who tries to swindle his way into the lives and love lives of these elderly women, and then he kills them for their money. And because he's being investigated by the FBI or state, and he's trying to get a lot of money quickly to leave, and this is the way he's been killing people or getting his money and making a living and so he's like, he has enough to leave but not enough to sustain a rest of his life. So he's like, you know what, one more job. He got greedy, and so this final job kind of leads to his demise. And so this is a really good episode because you get kind of a cameo from Tom Hanks, which is, the episode is also directed by Tom Hanks, and it's really, really good to see him. And it was just a very quick role in the episode, but it was really good. Treat Williams is the main actor in this episode, and he's really good. He's very charming. He's very charismatic. He's very, you could believe that he could like kind of weasel his way into these older women's lives and kill them and still be like, you know what, that's just my job. And the big twist of the episode is that throughout the episode he's trying to clean house because he's getting these notes, and the butler kind of catches on to him, and so he's trying to, like, you know, I'm going to clean house, get the money, and go. And ultimately it leads to, like I mentioned, his demise when he's like, show up at this cemetery, and when he shows up, the caretaker of the cemetery is like, I'm the one who's done it, but I was told to do it, and it's like, by who? His previous victims shows up, risen from the grave to attack him, and that's where the episode ends with like the rest, like his former, like his victims, kind of surround him in various zombified states, and basically just kill him. And so it was like, that was pretty cool. The makeup effects for the zombies were great. Or like the dead was like, one was very decomposed and fallen, like the really falling apart, and it was just really, really good. I really found myself liking this episode, which I cannot say for this next episode, for season 4, episode 14, Curiosity Killed. It's basically, you got these two older couples out in the middle of the woods camping, and ones are very laid back and just having a good time, and the other two are very grumpy and constantly yelling at one another. And so while they're out there, the laid back couple has a secret, and it's like tells the older man, who's played by Kevin McCarthy, to like, come follow me, we have something to do. And so they go up and dig up this skeleton, and that has like these like bulbs, like flower bulbs, planted in there and on the skeleton, and it's, you don't quite know what it is for. And then like the wife, who's played by Margaret Kidder, she gets all frantic, like he's like getting like, oh my god, he killed, like, to the wife of the laid back couple. He's like, oh my god, he killed his first husband, her first wife, and she's going to do it to you. And like, it's totally not that case, because it turns out that the bulbs have like this magical potion. Once brewed, it gives them back their youth, it's like their fountain of youth, basically. And so he's like, he's going to drink this, and he sees the effects on the laid back couple, and it's like they are significantly younger, and so he does it, and he's about to give it to his wife. Here comes the twist, and he's like, no, I already spent 45 years with you, I can't do it all over again. And so he tears up the little flower, and so she runs off and is like, you know what, I'm going to get him back. So she saves just enough of the potion, but she also needs the flower to make it all right. She taints it with some alcohol, which ultimately kills them. They end up like really like just withering up and dying. And so she drinks it for herself. She de-ages in this really cool sequence, and it was really cool. And then they had like this dog, kind of like, you can tell he's visually older because he's gray around the snout and everything. And he drinks a little bit of it, and he gets younger, and he gets like very, because you can tell he's kind of older, grumpy dog. And so he ends up attacking Margaret Kidder, and she ends up getting torn to pieces and everything. So it never worked out for anybody, and that was kind of the twist. So it didn't work out for anybody, but I just didn't really care for this episode. The makeup was good, and the acting overall was not that bad. I mean, Margaret Kidder kind of got a little annoying in places because she was constantly yelling and everything. Kevin McCarthy, he was yelling, but he wasn't kind of like projecting his voice. He was just kind of like, I know that it's kind of weird to say it that way, but he was just like, he's just the way he presented his tone. It didn't seem like as annoying as her character. I liked the story overall, but I just didn't like the episode, if that makes sense. Wasn't just set right with me. I mean, it was still decent enough, but I think this, out of all the episodes I've watched so far, that is definitely the weakest one I've seen. So, now on to season 5. This may be a new top contender for my favorite episode, because in season 3, the final episode, season 16, I do believe, it was titled Yellow, which was like kind of a war story. But this one, I liked this one a lot, because you get Tim Curry playing 3 different roles. You get playing this older couple. But before I get any further, it's about this door-to-door salesman who's kind of swindling people into buying these phony cemetery plots in a place that doesn't exist. And so it's like, give me $250, and then you'll be set for life. And when you pass away, you'll get $10,000 to pass on to your loved ones or yourself to kind of help with expenses down the line. So it was like $250 now for $10,000 later. There's these older people who've already recently lost someone. That's how he kind of preys on them, and it's like he can't pass that up. So they give him the money, and he just keeps moving on and doing this house to house until he comes across the house that is played by Tim Curry. All three members of this family is played by Tim Curry. The mom, the dad, and the daughter, and it is so good because the Tim Curry is great in this episode. He's playing this kind of like, you can tell they have like a southern twang to their voice, and they're not really, their house is kind of beat up, but they're not really disgusting living wise. They're just very, like, they're just ugly people. Let's put it that way. In a polite, I can't really put it politely. They're just ugly people, and because the mom and dad, they look very like the American Gothic photo with like the farmer and the wife who's holding the pitchfork in front of the house. You know, that painting, they're very reminiscent of that. And the daughter, she's kind of big on the bigger side, and she's just like, you can tell that she's just had her, like, the parents constantly pick on her because she's just not, they're just ugly. Just not saying they intentionally made them ugly. Let's put it that way. And Tim Curry is so good. The acting from three different characters. You get the older dad, the dad who kind of is like, okay, I need to back up a little bit. So he cheeses his house, and he's going to like try to swindle his normal job. He gets him into the house, and it's like, all right, he gets him on the hook for $40,000 because he looks around the room and sees like, oh, a high def TV, or a high def TV for back then, for 1990s, a nice sound system, a microwave in the kitchen and stuff like that. So he's kind of seeing that this house actually has they may actually have a little bit of money to him. So he also gets greedy, and he starts pulling a bigger con job on these older people, who turns out they have been killing. Here comes the twist. They have been killing door-to-door salesmen, and they've been trying to hook up a door-to-door salesman with their daughter, who's also played by Tim Curry. And that's kind of where this episode really takes off, is when they knock out Ed Begley Jr., and he's doing a really fantastic job of trying to get out of this situation. And just the way this episode is presented, it's just really fun. I really don't want to go too much detail into it, but him talking with this, and Tim Curry, the way he's acting in three different roles. Think of it as like Eddie Murphy in The Nutty Professor, that way, but not as over the top like that. It's more subdued and more creepy, and more along the lines of a horror story. So it's really good. The twist of the episode was him actually digging his own grave, and because he manages to the family kind of tricks him into thinking they were fighting, the dad getting killed, the mom getting beaten to death by the daughter, and a gun gets introduced, and he uses it on the daughter, and it's all fake. He believes it all, and he ends up digging his own grave, and he ends up getting shot in the face with a shotgun, and then they just bury him in the basement, and it was really good. I really liked it. I know I spoiled it, but it was a really good episode. I thought it was a very, very, very fun episode. And then season 5, episode 13, entitled "Till Death Do We Part." this was actually a pretty good episode because you got John Stamos, Frank Stallone, Michael Picardo. You may recognize him from Star Trek. I think Deep Space Nine. I think that's the one he's from. Um, but he's really good in all this. It's about this waitress and this gigolo. They kind of are trying to con this mob boss into getting all her money out of the safe and jewels and stuff like that. And then when it kind of goes awry, when they kind of come back a little too sudden, and he has to kind of try to save face and get out of this situation, but he doesn't. And so they take him out to the middle of the woods, and so at the same time they've already killed someone, so they're disposing of a body. And so Frank Stallone is really good in this. This is the brother of Sylvester Stallone. So he's there listening to baseball, killing, like hacking up this body with an axe, and he's doing it to like the sounds of the baseball game and everything. That was a really nice touch. And then you get Michael Picardo playing like the other hitman, basically, or the mob goon, and he's like, "Oh, like that's a nice watch. Take it off." I was like, "What size is the skirt?" And he's like, "Well, my wife, she hadn't been able to fit in a size 6 skirt since she had 3 kids, but my daughter, she could use it." So she strips this. He's just having fun with this potential victim. And so back in the limousine, you get the mob boss, who is this elderly woman, and John Stamos, and which is kind of throughout the episode, it's kind of lead to like the body that Frank Stallone is hacking up is John Stamos. And so it's like, okay, that was a nice little little twist there, or a little nice switch around, or a little rope a dope or whatever. But anyways, and then he has a change of heart, and because the mob boss like, I want you to go out there and you be the one to kill the waitress. And then he can't do it, and he ends up killing off the 2 goons, and the mob boss gets away. So they kind of head back to the restaurant or whatever, and they do this really John Woo-esque shootout scene. And then at the final twist, it's like the girl turns on John Stamos, and then it's all been a huge dream in John Stamos's head, and he shoots the waitress in the head, or his companion or whatever, who he's in cahoots with. And so that's where it ends, and he goes back to the limousine, and they just get in and go. All like, it didn't end well at all for the poor waitress. Hi, Kemper. But it was a good episode. I really liked this episode as well. And what is just, I've always known John Stamos to be as Uncle Jesse from Full House, but seeing him in another role where he actually cusses and kind of has a little bit more of an edge to the role, and it was really nice to see him as this, and I thought it was a really good role for him for this movie, or this episode. And Frank Stallone, I think, is the one who stole this episode overall. Just him. You see him in the background just swinging an axe and chopping up this body. This episode isn't really grotesque at all. But it just kind of leaves everything in your imagination, and just him hacking up this body in the background is like to the sounds of baseball, and he's just having like, oh man, like this is just another day at the job, at the job, and so it's just like, wow, it's just funny. So that's really all I gotta say about these 4 episodes. They all kind of have a little theme, like either it's like con job, or has to do with elderly people, or something like that. I'm like, you know what? I'll just kind of just lump it all together. And I was kind of the weakest one was Curiosity Killed. Like I mentioned, it wasn't bad per se, like in terms of writing and everything, but it just didn't really connect with me. Because all the episodes so far I've watched have been fun and everything, and I understand not all episodes can be a hit, but so far that was the weakest one. So That's really all I gotta say about these episodes. I cannot wait. We're 2 days from Halloween. I cannot believe how fast